With former City Councillor Aaron Buckingham taking on the role of fire chief for Lloydminster, that leaves a spot to fill in the council chamber. A by-election is set to take place February 13th next year to fill the one position, with a municipal general election planned later in the year.
Legislation in place. City Council approached the Government of Saskatchewan asking if we were required to have a by-election, because we are getting close to an election November 13th, 2024 for General Council. We are advised we do need to hold a by-election.
People who are interested in running will be able to download their nomination packages online.
Individuals can have to get nomination forms. They'll be available basically. Nomination period is from January 3rd till January 9th. So you'll be hearing more about it from the city, advertising in newspaper, radio, as well as online.
The cost of both elections has been included in the 2024 operating budget. For around 13 years, a Lloydminster family has been hosting a Christmas lights show at their house as a way to kick off the holiday season and to raise donations for various local charities in the city. The launch for this year's event took place over the weekend, which had a great turnout.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so cool to just see, the weather's not great right now. It's kind of cold with the wind and everything, but to see the number of people that are already here and looking around the backyard and getting ready for the show, it's amazing. It's what we do it for.
Since the event started and in the years since, it's become a tradition for a lot of families in the city.
We see a lot of people who it's their family tradition is to come and see the show at least once a year. And we have lots of people who will come through multiple times throughout the course of the season.
Both the front and backyards of the home are decorated with lights, blow-ups, and much more. Every year they switch out how it looks to keep it fresh and make it look good for those who come out to enjoy the beauty of it all.
We do have a pretty good supply of decorations that we kind of cycle them through a little bit, rotate them back and forth a little bit, add the new stuff, change out some old stuff, whatever. Some stuff just wears out and everything, but we try to use as much as we can and fit as much as we can so that it looks good and everybody enjoys it.
The light show will be on display every day from 5 to 10 until January 6th. They're also accepting donations for Big Brothers, Big Sisters, the Salvation Army Food Bank, and the Gift of Christmas. An appreciative crowd gathered at Kanas Park in Lloydminster last night as a welcome sign of the holidays also kicked off there. Sweet moon, he knows when you're away. The president of the Kiwanis Club of Lloydminster, Brad Pelly, says they've put on the sundown lighting at the park for the last 5 years.
It's something the club took on as a project to just make our city beautiful and give people a place to come and get together and enjoy Christmas, bring some joy. If we can bring joy to just one life, it's worth it. So, and with the reaction we see of the people here today and how people are enjoying this, it's all worth it.
For people who weren't able to be at the lighting Sunday night, the lights go on each night at 4:30.
It'll be running 4:30 to 11 each night, and it'll run from now till the first weekend in January.
The chair of the Kiwanis Festival of Lights, Vera Gallant, says the club couldn't make it happen without the support of the community.
It is a lot of work, and we are a small club, so if it was only us, we would never finish. So thank God the community came out and helped us.
In the end, it is worth it all to see the beautiful displays light up the park.
3, 2, 1.
Now we hop back in time in the news archive with this week's Retrospect with Ty Roswell.
This week in retrospect, we take it back to 1994, where a farmer has a new way of herding animals to evolve with the ever-changing world.
A lot of times when we go to move animals, the very thing we're doing to put them there is the very thing that's keeping them from going there.
Bud Williams says the cattle industry has changed, and cattle producers must change their thinking and move with it.
Well, I think it's more important to treat it differently, but also what you got to realize is the old way of working animals was designed for the Old West. And when animals weren't worth much and people were tough, and we've carried that on, and now we've just got to develop a new way. Things have changed.
Williams says the most important things to consider when moving stock are economics and animal welfare. He says sometimes what we think we should do is exactly what we shouldn't.
Our basic instincts are wrong for driving animals. Our instincts are to be a chase animal, and animals don't like to be chased. We don't like to be chased. And so you have to go against your basic instincts in order to handle animals what I consider properly.
And he says learning to do what doesn't come naturally is something that takes time.
I just didn't like the way it was done, and I have a strange mind, and I decided that there had to be a better way, and so I just went to find it.
He says by putting stress on your animals, you're causing them to lose weight, and that means less money in producers' pockets.
Animals perform better. They're healthier, so the health costs are really high today. When you start using a lot of medicine, like it's really expensive. Also, your performance is better if you have less stress in the animals. Whenever you talk about animal welfare, it's to the benefit of the rancher to be concerned about the welfare of his animals. And I think that most ranchers do what they know, but there's more to learn.
Williams has worked with everything from sheep to cattle and is now employed at VT Feeders, although he still travels and teaches his trade around the world.
And as this year's annual Canadian Western Agribition wraps up, we take it back to 1998 and see how things have changed.
Day 3 of the Canadian Western Agribition has come to a close, and it was an action-packed day. Everything from cattle to horses to elk and bison. From the calm serenity of the pens out back to the feverish yell of the auction block, Agribition's bison sale was considered a success. The gold trophy winner for the yearling bulls went to a Buffalo Hill Ranch of Round Hill, Alberta. They in turn sold him for $24,000. Cattle producers view the show as a great way to market their product. In fact, one Midwest producer has been an exhibitor for the entire 28 years.
Well, I don't feel it's pretty good. I guess, it's a show we wouldn't miss. International people around and being able to display your goods and advertise your program. And this is one show that we won't miss.
And he's happy with how things have been going so far this year.
And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I think we're in for a really good week. And the weather's cooperating.
Not only beef cattle were exhibited, the dairy cattle hit the ring as well. There is a definite difference between how the two are judged. The angularity of the dairy is desired, while a well-balanced beef heifer is what producers want. The draft horses competed as well. The International Horseball Championships, the hit show, as well as the ladies' cart ran throughout the day. Well, that puts a cap to another day at the Canadian Western Agribition in Regina. After countless years of showing cattle here myself, this is the first time that I'm able to stand out during tie-outs, not leading out any sort of animal.
And that's it for this week in Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
And now Abby St. John is in to tell us more about our weather picture. It's looking a little maybe sunnier, but still mild.
Yes, this weekend was actually very nice out. I saw we had a tiny bit of snowfall, but I mean, it wasn't that much. You could easily brush it away instead of shoveling. But yeah, we're going to see a lot more sun this week, hopefully, but it will start to get a little bit more windier too. So it'll feel a little bit cooler than it is, but the sun is always nice to have during the day. It feels less gloomy that way, even if it's a little bit colder. Currently sitting at 0 degrees, a little bit more heavier cloud coverage today. We did have a tiny bit of periods of sun throughout and a little bit of clear skies, but for the most part, it was fairly cloudy. At 0, feels closer to -4 with that wind chill. Winds coming in at 15 kilometers per hour, so not too bad, but definitely still on the breezier side. More temperatures across the region in Alberta, 0 in Provost, Marwayne, and St. Paul, and up in Lac La Biche. -3 out in Cold Lake, +1 in Bonnyville, +2 in Vegreville and Vermilion, -1 in Wainwright, same as here, and then +3 out in Edmonton. And then on the Saskatchewan side, -2 in Macklin and Maidstone, -1 in North Battleford, 0 in St. Walburg, Meadow Lake, and Green Lake. Pierceland is sitting at +1 and -3 up in Isle of Cross. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, it will be patchy clouds here and there, so for the most part it should be fairly clear, but there will be a little bit of cloud coverage and it'll drop down to -3. It'll be a tad bit windy at 19 kilometers per hour, but it should be a fairly okay evening out. And then tomorrow, expect plenty of sunshine throughout the day with a high of +5. It will be quite windy at 24 kilometers per hour winds, but that sun is always nice to see throughout the day, especially when our days are shorter. It's nice that that period of time is filled with sunshine. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake, it will remain fairly clear out overnight with it'll drop down to -3 degrees, so it won't be too bad. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny day as well. A little bit windy, less than North Battleford, but still quite breezy at 17 kilometers per hour with a daytime high of 5 degrees. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster will drop down to -2. It will be clear and breezy, 24 kilometer per hour wind, so it will be quite windy out tonight, but it will be clear skies. And then tomorrow, just to break down the day just a little bit, in the morning it will be around -2 and quite clear out. And we are expected to have quite a sunny day out. Around recess time in the mid-morning it will be 0 degrees, and then around lunchtime, around noon, it will be around 3 degrees, and then around 3 when the school is out, it will be 4 degrees, and it should still remain sunny up until the evening rolls around. And then over the next 3 days here in Lloydminster, like I said, we'll have a low of -4 for tomorrow, very sunny out, but expect it to be quite windy. And then on Wednesday, it will be a little bit cloud coverage, but it will be windier, so feel colder than that high of 0 with a low of -9. And then on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -2 and a low of -11. That is your first look at your evening weather forecast. I'll have more later on in the show.
Today I'm happy to be joined by Vince Oreo, the head coach of the Holy Rosary Raiders, your Tier 3 Alberta Bowl champions. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Vince.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Last time we talked to you, Vince, you guys had just made it past the first round of the Tier 3 provincial playoffs. You were then going into the second round, taking on the Ardrossan Bisons, and you guys had a very good game against them. Just talk to me about how you guys played, especially with you shutting them out, just like you shut out the first team you guys came up against.
We played Ardrossan in the semifinal, and that game was on the road in Sherwood Park. So a bit of a home game for Ardrossan as they play a lot of their home games in that Sherwood Park facility. Our kids were prepared, both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and they showed up to play right from the opening kickoff. You know, we started with a big long return and got momentum going, and our kids, I think we finished that first drive with a field goal and a 3-0 early. On their first offensive possession, we intercepted the ball, and we just sort of rolled from there and cruised to a 36-0 victory.
And then the finale where you guys took on the Cartstone Cougars. And while you didn't score as many points as you had against the other teams, you still had a very strong defensive showing, only limiting that team to 6 points. Talk to me especially about how good that defense was playing for you guys today, and just overall how that Alberta Bowl went.
Yeah, I mean, it's provincial final, so you don't expect to score a bunch of points. You expect it to be a tight football game. Cardston's a good team with a lot of great athletes, and they have a long history and tradition of success and being in provincial finals and winning provincial championships. So we knew it was going to be tough. We set the kids up, and both RO and defensive coordinators put the kids in good positions and had good systems in place, and we were able to execute. We took a 14-0 lead into half, and kind of sealed the deal late with a touchdown to put us up 28-0, and then. We were hoping for the shutout. It's always nice to, that would have made it 128-0 for us over our opponents in 3 provincial games. But some untimely penalties at the end helped them move the ball down the field and eventually scored a touchdown. They missed the extra point. So 28-6, we're proud of the kids, and we'll definitely take it.
And so, Vince, you guys have won the Tier 3 provincials now 2 times in a row. What have been the keys to your guys' success so far, whether it's the coaching staff or the players that have made you guys such a force on the provincial level?
I mean, our coaching staff hasn't changed. We have some really great consistency there with coordinators and position coaches, and we all sort of share the same ideas on how we want to develop our team and put our team in a good position to win. As far as players are concerned, our senior kids, this is their 3rd provincial final in a row, 2nd victory in a row. So I don't really want to single anybody out because it takes the effort of all of them to have that success. And last year we were able to start some grade 10s, so they were sort of in it right from the very beginning of the season. They experienced that success, and then they were able to take that into this year and have some leadership. So it was we had a small grade 12 group. I think there's only maybe 5 or 6 kids that in their senior year that dressed, but a whole bunch of grade 11s that we relied on that experience they gained last year. So really a team effort in that regard.
And so, Vince, you mentioned those grade 12 players, and so they will be, of course, moving on from the high school level, but are any of them thinking about pursuing a post-secondary football career? And as well, some of your under 18 players, are they going to be looking to be part of all those all-star games coming up in the fall?
Yeah, we've got a few kids that are interested in moving on to play post-secondary football, primarily at the junior level. So we'll have a few kids up there. I think we'll have a couple kids on the Senior Bowl roster. We'll have a few try out, and I think they've got the skill. They've demonstrated the skill to be able to make that team. And then we'll have some of our 10s and 11s participate in some of the U18, U17 tryouts, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a few Raider helmets on those rosters.
Thank you so much for all the information, Vince, and once again, congratulations to you, the coaching staff, and all the players on another Alberta Bowl victory.
Yeah, thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it.
Furniture set and design supplied by Furniture Gallery, downtown Lloydminster.
Shauna Godin with Catholic Social Services in Lloydminster joins me now to talk about Angels of Hope. Shauna, thanks for joining me. And can you tell me about the program and how have things changed this year?
We, in general sense, we provide supports for all faiths and cultures for children and families with mental health and addiction struggles, financial barriers, and newcomer families, and also families with children with disabilities. We provide supports to seniors as a resource, and going with them to appointments and helping them, in waiting rooms for, dentists, eye doctors, that kind of thing, and also companionship.
And how do you find the donors to match up with the families for this initiative?
Yes, so this is one way of getting the word out. Another way is we're pretty active on our Facebook account with our Gateway for Newcomers Facebook. So we put that out regularly. We found in the last few years that word of mouth has really carried far, and we get the same donors back every year, and they seem to have spread the word, and then more come along from that.
With inflation, you know, there's a lot of talk about how even middle income families are starting to struggle to make ends meet. Is that what you're finding as well?
You are exactly right to mention about middle income. So some of the stereotypes is that this is just low income families, but we're certainly seeing a rising need in medium to, you know, low high income families. It is the rising costs of gas. It is the rising cost of groceries. Of course, there's all that ripple effect with that, with shipping into the stores. And so we just see that healthy food is a lot more difficult to attain for families that are already struggling with higher home bills, gas bills, that kind of thing.
So exactly who does Angels of Hope serve generally on a year-to-year basis?
We kind of stick to it being fairly small, and typically it, like I said, it's similar donors that come back through a round. We don't want to compete, and we're not duplicating for the other awesome resources in this similar area that are in the community. So it is different in the sense that it goes to those that we serve specifically within our agency. And as far as where the donations can be dropped off, they can come to our office, or we can, if it's easier, we can also come to people's homes or meet them somewhere and pick up the donations as well. We're hoping to get the deliveries and that going off around the 18th, 19th of December. So they are there for Christmas.
If somebody's interested in becoming a donor, how do they go about doing that?
They just have to call our office, ask for Johanna, and our number is 780-875-9084. We also have some suggestion lists if people need ideas for meals or non-perishable staples, that kind of thing that we can provide.
Is there anything else, Shauna, that you'd like to mention about this that I maybe haven't asked you?
I think that covers the bones of everything of Angels of Hope. I would like to take the opportunity, though, to thank the community in the last previous years has been extremely generous and has always amazed us at what they have donated and brought to the families that are in need. So I just want to extend a great big thank you to our community. It's very generous.
And thanks for your time today, Shauna. I do appreciate it.
Taking a final look at the next 3 days weather-wise, a high of +5 and a low of -4 for tomorrow, and expect a bright sunny day. However, don't let it deceive you. It will be very windy out. And then on Wednesday, a little bit of cloud coverage throughout the day, and it's going to become windier and colder with just a high of 0 and a low of -9. And then on Thursday, a little bit of cloud coverage as well, similar to Wednesday, but it'll be a high of -2 and a low of -11 to wrap up your next 3 days.
The Agribition Beef Supreme is a cattle show where the champions from various shows across the country compete for $10,000. This year, the female grand champion came from Lloydminster as Canadian Western Agribition wrapped up over the weekend. The Noble family, alongside the Pains of Greenwood cattle, were crowned for the Supreme Champion female at Saturday's show, coming home with $10,000. This is the first time the Nobles have won at Supreme at Agribition, and the first time the Pains have been Supreme. Sounds like they had a good showing at the show.
Yes, it's very exciting that they came, you know, the winners are from here in Lloydminster, so maybe one day we can talk to them about that. A very nice win, especially their first ever win too, so congratulations.
Takes a lot of work to raise the grand champion, I imagine. Thanks for joining us tonight. That's all we have for you. Have a good evening.